Halli Lilburn. I like to write stories. I have one novel, science fiction novel, that was published in 2012, and then I have a bunch of stories in Tesseracts, and in Renaissance Press just did We Shall Be Monsters, which is Frankenstein stories, some poetry, some art. I've got art in the art show upstairs, and yeah. And I'm an editor too, essentialedits.ca. Okay, well, you always have to stop midstream because there's always something that's going to interrupt you. And I have 3 kids, so that kind of, goes from there. And I've learned as a mom that your attention span has to be as short as theirs so that you can move on to the next thing and they will move with you. So yeah, I've lost a lot of my attention span. And even when I have a big block of time to write, I'm like, doo-dee-doo. I need to get interrupted. Yeah. But yeah, so there isn't really a way to get around that unless you just kind of disconnect yourself from them and keep the story in your mind as you're, cooking supper or whatever it is that you have to do, which isn't easy to do. And sometimes they're like, Earth to Mom. And I'm like, what? Yeah. So I don't really have an answer to that, besides the fact that it's going to happen and just, get
Deal
used
with
to it. I want to think about it beforehand, but most of the time it happens while I'm doing it. Yes. So for example, I had one character turn into a jellyfish. And then I was like, I don't know anything about jellyfish. So then I spent, 4 hours researching what breed and how their poison works and, all that kind of stuff. So that when I went back into the story, I was like, I am the jellyfish. I know exactly what they do. Nice. But I couldn't do it until it was at that moment. Sometimes if I know there's certain tech or computers or airships, I do have an airship. I had to invent the airship ahead of time so that when the characters are running around on the deck, I know where the mast is and I know where the helm is, and so I had to invent that beforehand, and that was actually really fun to do. So being messy and being late for stuff because everyone else just thinks you're a slob and lazy, but other artists are like, I know how that feels. Like, let's be messy together. Yeah, that's the best. Okay, so when I was in college, I had to take an advertising class, and I dropped out of it after the first class because I was like, this is dumb. I'm not going to do this. So advertising, no, I do not. It's like, basically the way I look at advertisers is, let's brainwash you into losing your money, and I won't take any part in that. So no, I don't advertise. But I love to imagine that my book has become a movie, and I love to pick the actors that are going to play the characters so that I know when that moment comes, when I have to sign my contract with Hollywood, I'm like, by the way, I have the actress picked out already.
Thanks.
If it's coming to what will I do or not do, my favorite thing to do is, if it doesn't exist in this world, then I make it a different world. Nice. I put it off planet. And if it's unbelievable and unable to happen, then I say it's magic, because then anything can happen. So yeah, if I'm like, oh, I need to put in a monster, but they don't follow the laws of gravity, then I'm like, okay, my planet doesn't need to follow the laws of gravity. And I just change it, because that's the whole point of being a writer, is coming up with completely different rules that you can break, nice. Right? I mean, you stick with your magic rules once you make your magic rules, but you make them. So, if you've got transfiguration and if you've got whatever, you put it into your magic system, and then you can do whatever you want. Nice. And if people are like, wait, you can't explain that. And I'm like, yes, I can. It's magic. Facebook group, Halli Lilburn, spelled Hallililburn. blog, Halli Lilburn at blogspot.com, Halli Lilburn at Twitter, and yeah.